What's going on, everybody? This is Nick from House of Paint 203, bringing you part 2 of the Yeenoghu series. Yeenoghu is a gnoll. He's pretty much a he's a demon lord. So he's kind of a big deal. He is from the Baldur's Gate descent into Avernus module. Gale Force 9 model, as you can see by the box right here. My second Gale Force 9 model, as I've painted the Planetar a couple of months ago. And so in part 1, we base coated all of his parts. There are 5 parts to him. So today in part 2, we're going to be applying some washes, and we're going to be applying some midtones. So we do have a lot to do still on this model, so let's jump right in. As always, I want to give a special shout out to friend of the show, Dominic Marriott, owner and founder of Credit UK, all the way across the pond in the UK. Dominic is a crafter of dice, dice trays, dice vaults, dice boxes, dice towers, you name it, Dominic makes it. You should check out his stuff so that you can up your game at your gaming table today. Also, while you're here, be sure to smite like and slam subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all the latest content that I am putting out there in my quest to paint the manual. And this week we are on Yeenoghu, whom I am counting as a gnoll, technically. I mean, maybe I'll paint some regular gnolls on this channel, but since he is in the likeness of a gnoll, if not a gnoll himself, then I'm going to be counting him as such. All right, so for this model, I am going to start off with the washes, since those take the longest to dry. And so I'm going to go in on his leathers with a brown wash. And I'm going to dilute it a little bit too with some water. I'm going to try the same thing on his bandages. Try to feather that into brown wash is working for me a little bit there. And now I'm going to try some Null Oil. I use it a lot on swords, weapons, and also plate. Starting up on his breastplate, kind of manipulate this around a little bit. Really want to try to keep it to the edges on his plates there. gonna let those washes dry, so I'll stand him up or just crash him down. I'm gonna stand him up over there. And now I'm gonna go in on his arm. His arm's gonna need some Null Oil too. That part of his arm right there that's got the bracers. Throw on some Null Oil, try to feather it into the folds right there. Just to give everything kind of a, cohesive look. Just like that. Set that aside. You just witnessed a spill. Now that we're all cleaned up, so frustrated, but you know what? It happens. At least I didn't spill the entire thing. So I'm gonna do Null Oil on his flail. Just kind of stipple that on, give that some because the flail the spikes of the flail here do have some pretty good like dimple details. So I really want that to really want the wash to kind of sink in. All right, so I'm gonna leave that off to the side now. Close that up first. Try to learn from my mistakes. I'm actually gonna prop that up in my little arm holder there. That's not the name of it, by the way, but all right. So those are drying. I want to give Yeenoghu a little bit more time to dry, but while he is drying, I think I'm gonna take his base and I'm gonna try another dry brush. So his base, I primed and then I just did a dry brush of a heavy gray over that. So now I'm gonna take a lighter gray, Dungeon Stone, and try to do this base in nothing but primer and dry brush. Full disclosure, I just pretty much experiment on this channel. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it will not. So a little Dungeon Stone. It's brightening up that base a little bit. Giving it a little bit more of a pop. Yeenoghu seems to be a little dry, so what I want to try now is I want to try to bring him up to his mid-tone. And so what I'm doing is I'm gonna take a little khaki and a little bit of my original base, and I'm gonna see if I can, let's see if this mid-tone is working for me. So I'll start down on his feet. just kind of using the side of my brush to graze over the feet there. And I'll fill it in as I need. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I will drop him there. Don't know why I talk like this now. I'm just gonna go in and touch up his arm, keep everything consistent. Shout out to the garbage guys. So this is an overbrush. I have wet paint on my brush, but I've gotten the excess off on a paper towel, and I'm very lightly grazing the raised edges. I'm going the same way. It might look like I'm going like this, but I'm not. I'm going just one way. Alright, cool. I think I'm gonna do the same thing on his teeth here. I'm actually using a light gray for these. He's looking okay so far. I think now what I want to do is try to touch up some of the leather. I'm just going to follow the raised edges. On his leathers. into his bandages, I think. Bone white and the khaki. Seeing what I could do if I just graze the raised areas first. And then go in and fill in as needed. So that bandage is good for now. Let that dry while it's drying. I think I'm gonna go for his robe here. Going back to that heavy gray that I used earlier. I'm gonna mix it a little bit with a heavy blue gray. Just following the upper folds. Back here. It's kind of grazing first. I'm not so worried about the back because that tail will be on. But still, I do want to do justice to this miniature. So. All right, so I think that's a good place to stop for part 2. In part 3, we will bring him up with some final highlights, assemble him, and set him down on his base. I also want to pop on some little effects on his armor and on his bandage, because he does have some, looks like he does have some dried blood on his bandage. And he does have a little bit of rust kind of scattered around his metal armor. So, as always, I thank you for joining me. Information on how to follow me on all my social media platforms is immediately following the video, as is information on how to follow Dominic Marriott of Credit UK. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.